Hey, what's up guys, how you all doing? I'm Paul the Tech Giant and welcome back to the channel, where today I'm going to be doing a TV comparison. And the two TVs that I'm going to be comparing today are the 65-inch TCL C855K and the 65-inch Samsung QN95D. So some of the things that I'm going to be testing in this video will be the picture, the sound, design and features. So first up, we're just going to take a look at the boxes. Bit strange, I know, but I just want to point out that as we can see on the Samsung, there isn't a lot going on. But I do know that it does have many good features. But the TCL box, it is giving us a bit more information. Now, some of the features that the Samsung does have are things like 144 Hz when it comes to gaming. Well, this TCL also has that. We have VRR 144 Hz. Again, the Samsung has FreeSync Premium Pro, but once again, the TCL has that. We are ticking boxes here. But one thing that the Samsung doesn't have is Dolby Vision and Dolby Vision IQ, which I'm pleased to say, as you can see, the TCL does have. Remember, this TV is £1,000 less than the Samsung, and it has the same features and even more formats like Dolby Vision IQ, and also IMAX Enhanced. So we got a lot going on there, and already I would say at this price point that TCL is looking like an absolute bargain. Next up, we're going to take a look at the design of these two TVs. So starting off first with the TCL up the top. So if we're going a little bit closer, we can see we've got nice thin bezels going on there. And moving down to the Samsung, again, nice and thin. Now if we move around to the side, we can see that the frame on this is a nice brushed grey effect. On the Samsung, again, it's a nice effect on that. It's like a darker grey, again brushed. Both look very nice, but personally I think I prefer the TCL's grey on there. Moving around to the back of the TCL, and we can see that that is actually curved, but when you come around this sort of angle you don't see that. And if we move down to the Samsung, we go down for a top down view, we can see that that is more flat going all the way down. Well, it is actually flat all the way down. So I actually prefer the look of the back of the Samsung. Now at the bottom of the TCL, it is a little bit thicker, and if we move down to the Samsung, again it is thicker, but still a bit thinner than the TCL. So there, I would say the Samsung wins. Moving back to the TCL, and we have this piece here which houses our sensors, and that I like because it is dead in the middle of the TV, gives it a nice symmetrical look. Where the Samsung, we don't have anything in the middle, but we do have this logo set off to the side. Not keen on that. I would prefer to see that in the middle, so I would say that is a win for the TCL. So when it comes to the design of the TVs, I'd actually call it a draw. Now there's one other area that the TCL also trumps the Samsung. So when it comes to Wi-Fi connectivity, the Samsung runs on Wi-Fi 5, but the TCL, Wi-Fi 6. Next, let's take a look at the operating systems. So first off with the Samsung. So the Samsung is running Tizen. Be totally honest, I'm not a massive fan of Tizen. And if I just quickly scroll through some of the menus, you can see we've got recommendations, got all our apps along there, and yeah, it's got a good selection of apps, but it is a little bit clunky just using the remote. And you know, if I hold down on the button there, yeah, it does navigate through things, but it's not the most rapid. It can sort of stutter and freeze now and again. But moving up to the TCL, and you may be pleased to hear that this is running Google TV. And I think it just runs a lot smoother, and I prefer the layout as well. So just grabbing the remote, as you can see, it just rips through those, holding down the button there. Again, we're getting recommendations. We've got all our apps on there. Again, it's really fast, and that is exactly what you want. Let's next talk about the sound. So starting off up top with the TCL. Now this has an Onkyo 2.1.2 channel setup that puts out 60 watts of power and supports Dolby Atmos. Moving on down to the Samsung, and this has a 4.2.2 channel setup that puts out 70 watts of power and also supports Dolby Atmos. So what I've done now, I've just whipped my microphone off, and what we're going to do is actually test out the sound. Now on paper, the Samsung does trump the TCL, but in reality, does it sound any better? Well, I've got two pieces of music lined up and we're going to test them out. So first off, starting off with the TCL. So after listening to that then, I would agree with the specs on the sheet and I would hand the win to the Samsung. It did sound just a little bit more fuller than the TCL. The TCL by any means wasn't bad, but I just felt that that Samsung was just a little bit more better in the bass department. Okie dokie, next up we're going to compare the picture, which to be fair is pretty important when it comes to a TV. So first we're going to talk about some of these specs, and these may shock you. So once again, don't forget that the TCL is around £1,000 cheaper than the Samsung. So you would expect the Samsung to blow it out of the water when it comes to the specs. So first up, the Samsung's peak brightness comes in at 2300 nits. But the TCL's peak brightness, that comes in at 3500 nits. Now when it comes to the local dimming zones, now these are areas of the TV where the LEDs can dim down or brighten up. The more the better, because then you can get better black levels. Well, this Samsung has 792 local dimming zones and the TCL 1,344 local dimming zones. So once again, the cheaper TCL is clearly the winner. Let's move on to the actual picture test itself now then. And once again, I do apologise that I've got the TVs above and below each other. It is difficult to get them side by side, but what I will be doing is going between the two TVs and showing you in closer detail what I am seeing, what the differences are. Now I'm going to be playing exactly the same material on both TVs, and I'll play it for a little bit and I'll stop it at various points so we can look at those finer details. And I've made sure that I've got the two TVs set up as closely as possible. Right, so straight away I am noticing quite a bit of a difference. I would say, just looking at this image at the moment, that the TCL is looking a lot more vibrant. The Samsung is looking a little bit washed out. The colours are far more muted. So yeah, we are noticing a big difference here. Just look at the black levels on the TCL. We're getting blooming going on the Samsung. Looks like blue, the glow going on. Again, the colours on that TCL are just far, far better. Again, look at the lights. We've got blooming going on there on the Samsung. TCL looking nice and black. That is those extra dimming zones coming into play. Again, look at the colours. A lot better on the TCL. Looks really washed out on the Samsung comparing the two. Again, it just looks more detailed on the TCL there over the Samsung. Again, there's a good example on that skyline. Look at it there, blooming, no blooming. Now I've just paused the video a moment to show you a couple of key differences that I am noticing. So first off, we're going to take a look at this sign. So as we can see on there, it doesn't look too bad, but when we move up to the TCL, just look at that difference. It's very much more detailed. We can see the colours better on there, and it's not sort of washing out, where on here it's just a mess. because we are getting those more dimming zones, those colours, the black levels, the brightness are better controlled. Now something else as well, if we go in closer, we've got this sign just here. Now notice the writing, so we've got that very bright sign there, and if we can see, it's actually, the light is bleeding into that sign, where if we go up to the TCL, it's a lot more controlled, very, very bright, but that light isn't spewing out everywhere. We can easily see that writing, nice and clear. Down to the Samsung, not quite as good. If we just go between the two again there, we can see what I'm on about. Just nice and sharp there with that writing, where we're getting that light bleeding into the writing on the Samsung. I've just moved on and paused it on another section of the video, and I just want to concentrate once again on some signage. So on this one it says deep stack, and again, if we notice just there, the light is all spewing out around the side. Not very controlled. It is nice and bright, but yeah, as we can see, it's all spewing out around here on the Samsung. If we move up to the TCL, it's just a lot more controlled. It is bleeding out a bit, but the sign, the writing just looks a lot clearer, if you can see that difference. So the TCL, the Samsung, TCL, Samsung. There we go. Now this next scene is particularly good at showing the difference when it comes to the black levels. Now don't get me wrong, my camera is emphasised in this, but it still shows the difference. So we are seeing blooming going on around those bright areas there. As you can see, it should be black right by that statue, but no, it's sort of a bluish tone going on around the outside of it. Same on the MGM sign. We move up to the TCL though. Look at the difference. Black where it should be black, black around the MGM sign. Just moving between the two. There we go. And I've got them on the same settings when it comes to the local dimming. Look at that, that is pretty crazy. Like I said, it doesn't look as bad in person as it does on camera, but you still can see the blooming going on with the naked eye. But this just shows you the difference between the two. Moving on to some more footage now then. And once again, TCL, colours looking better, looks brighter, as you can tell in this image just here. We'll let this play for a minute, but what we will do in a minute is once again, pause it on some different parts and look at the differences. So again, I'm seeing blooming going on there with the Samsung. Bit of blooming going on both just then. My God, I've got to say it, they are both very bright TVs indeed. I'm getting blinded here. Moving on to the next still image. Again, on face value, that doesn't look too bad on the Samsung. But if we move up to the TCL, just look how much more vibrant those colours are. A lot brighter as well. If I just sort of go between the two there, you can see it. Look at the reds. Just a lot more nice deeper cherry red, brighter as well. And it just gives it far more better contrast between those colours as well, with that extra brightness. If you just look there, yeah, it just looks far, far better on the TCL over the Samsung. Look at that. I think that is a clear win there to the TCL once again. Now this is a great example of what the colours are like. Again, on face value, if you only seen the Samsung, you probably think they looked all right. But compared to the TCL, well, things like that red there just look a lot better, a lot brighter. Everything just looks far, far richer. So when you look at the Samsung below, it now looks a little bit washed out compared to the TCL's image. Now this next still image is another great example of how the TCL trumps the Samsung when it comes to the black levels. Now again, it's hard to see on camera, but with my naked eye, that looks so lush and red. But the red on the Samsung looks just far more muted. On camera, it probably looks like it's the other way around. Weird, but I'm telling you what I see. Now, once again, please just bear in mind that my camera is exaggerating what I'm seeing with my naked eye. But if we look at the TCL, just look how nice and dark it is around all these little droplets of water. It's all well controlled. Samsung, not so well. We're getting all that blooming going on there because it's a bright image, and obviously it needs to light up these small areas, and in doing so, because it's not got so many dimming zones, all that light is just bleeding everywhere. But a TCL, not so much. There is a little bit going on if I adjust my camera. I don't know how well I can get it, but there is a slight bit going on, but not a lot. Again, when I change the camera setting there a bit to make it look worse for the TCL, just gets far worse for the Samsung. Just look at that difference. On to the final freeze frame of this video now then. And once again, if we look at that Samsung, we can see blooming going on. Does look nice and bright though, but if we go up to the TCL, again, looks a lot better. We're getting far less blooming going on, and is far, far brighter in those white areas. We can see lots of nice details going on as well, all around there, nice and bright and well controlled. Well, that is the comparison over and done with, and well, I'm blown away. I didn't think the TCL would come that close to the Samsung. Well, I say close, let's be honest, it's actually beating the Samsung TV. And to think that it's £1,000 less, or some places even more than that, that is just mind-boggling. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a few areas where the Samsung is better, like with the sound, but again, when you consider it's £1,000 cheaper, so it should be better at some things. But for that £1,000 saving, hey, go out and buy yourself a soundbar, and then you've got yourself a far superior TV in all areas. But let's be honest, when you buy a TV, the thing that you really want is an amazing picture. And as you've seen, the TCL walked away with it. It was just far, far better. It was brighter, it was less blooming, colours were better. Just a hands down win for the TCL. And again, that is just mind-boggling when you think how much cheaper the TV is. So for my first experience with a TCL TV, well, I can't wait to try even more. That's if they send any more over. But what they have told me is that they're going to send me over an OLED TV to compare to it. So that should be very interesting indeed. It's actually going to be an LG OLED. And if you watch the channel, you will know that I'm a massive fan of LG OLED TVs. So it'll be interesting to see how it stacks up against one of my favourite TVs. Now, if you have liked what you've seen in this video today and you want to pick up one of these TCL TVs, I'll be putting a link in the description. Now, if you have enjoyed what I've done in this video today, do us a favour and reach up and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you already haven't, and hopefully I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Bye for now.